You are watching Eswatini TV. Sibuko Semaswati.
A very good afternoon and a very warm welcome back to your favorite teleeducation program, Home Study. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini and I'm hoping that you are geared up and ready for the day, a Friday afternoon, ready for the weekend. But before we start the weekend, this is what your timetable looks like today. From 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. we have the grade 0 lesson. From 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. we have English language for the grades 1 and 2. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. we have religious education for grades 3 and 4. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. we have science for Form 1 and Form 2. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. we have English language for the Form 4s. And the last subject for the day is the Swati for the Form 4s from 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. And as always, a reminder about our social media platforms where we are live right now, which are YouTube and Facebook. Of course, you can join us on those platforms, and to also use the WhatsApp number if you have any questions during the lessons that you will be participating in. Now, like I had said, at the Kosi Simelane, and today we are doing protective food. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Nogwazin. How are you?
I'm doing very well. What are you expecting your grade 0s to have learned about protective food at the end of this lesson?
The grade 0s, by the end of this lesson, should be able to identify protective food. Yes, and also know how this food help our bodies.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Kosi. Grade 0s, I hope you are ready for your lesson, and I hope that you will enjoy it. Kosi, you may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi. Good afternoon, boys and girls at home. As Nogwazi said, my name is Teacher Kosi Melanie. I'll be taking you through this lesson for today. So we are going to begin with the days of the week. Today we are going to sing the song for the days of the week. Let us all sing. There is Sunday and there's Monday, there's Tuesday and there's Wednesday, there's Thursday and there's Friday, and then there's Saturday. Days of the week. 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 Clap, clap. Wow, well done. You sang so beautifully. Thank you so much for singing with me. I know you want to know what is the day today, because we have sung the days of the week. And yesterday, I remember it was a Thursday. So who can tell me what day comes after Thursday? We said this is Thursday, and what day comes after Thursday? It's Friday. So today is Friday. Here is the card here, and it shows that today is Friday. We are going to put our card here. And please, boys and girls at home, let us read together. Today is Friday. Today is Friday. Yes, the day today is Friday. And remember, the days of the week, there are 7 days in a week. Now we want to know how is the weather today. The weather today where I am, it is a cloudy day. But I don't know where you are. Please quickly look through the window and see how is the weather where you are as we are singing the song. How is the weather? How is the weather? How is the weather today? How is the weather? How is the weather? How is the weather today? Yes, come back, boys and girls. I think you have seen how is the weather where you are. I told you where I am today, it is a cloudy day. It is not cold, but it is a warm Friday afternoon. So the weather today, it is a cloudy day. Where you are, I don't know how is the weather where you are. Let us go through and go to the shape of the week. Do you still remember the shape of the week? I don't know, someone is saying, the shape is shaped like a banana. Yes, the shape of the week is a crescent. We say the shape of the week is a crescent. We are going to put the crescent here. And we said a banana is shaped like a crescent. The shape of a banana is a crescent. So we are going to put our banana here. We also have a moon. You know what a moon, we always see the moon up in the sky at night. There are some other things that we see on the sky at night, like the stars. The moon, sometimes it will be shaped like a crescent. Sometimes the moon is shaped like a circle, but a moon sometimes is also shaped like a crescent. So a moon and a banana are shaped like a crescent. So we are going to have the shape of the week as a crescent. Now let us move on to the letter of the week. Do you still remember the letter of the week? Okay, I think you still remember the letter of the week. Now I'd like you to tell me the names of the things that are in these pictures. In this picture here, what do we have? Yes, this is a net. This is a net. And I have this picture also. What do you see on this picture? On this picture, yes, this is a nest. This is a nest. When you say net or nest, there is this sound at the beginning. It sounds like it's a Then the letter of the week, do you still remember it now? It's letter N. The letter of the week is letter N, and letter N has the sound The letter N has the sound That's why when you say the word net, the word nest, you hear the sound at the beginning, and that they all begin with the letter N. There are other words like a nest. You know, a nest for birds where they lay their eggs. When you say that word nest, you also hear the sound at the beginning. All right, so the letter of the week is letter N, and it has the sound at the beginning. Now, boys and girls, let us move on to the color of the week. I will ask you what color is on this picture. Here I have a goose. And what color is the goose? The goose is white. The goose is white. Yes, and I have this cup here. What color is the cup? The cup is white. Yes, the cup is white. So the color of the week is color white. Here I have this I have these pictures here. These pictures here, they have so many colors. We are going to tick on the colors that are color white. Okay, here I have this teddy bear here. What color is it? It is color purple. And here, this is a square. What color is the square? It is color white. Yes, we are going to tick on it because it is white. And I have this umbrella here, and what color is that? It is color yellow. Well done. But we want things that are color white. And what is this? This is a car. And what color is the car? It is color white. So we are going to tick on the car. And here it's number 5. What color is the number 5? It's pink. Okay, here I have a glass of milk. What color is the milk in this glass? It is white. So we are going to tick on the milk. And here I have this apple. Is it color white? No, it is color red. So we have the square, the car, and the glass of milk that are in color white. Then we say the color of the week is color white. Now let us move on to the number of the week. I know you like counting. So before we continue with our counting, let us count numbers 1 up to 20 using our hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yes, but the number of the week, do you still remember the number of the week? Yes, someone is saying it is number 12. Very good. The number of the week is number 12. So here is number 12. Now you are going to help me, boys and girls, count these crayons with me. I don't know how many crayons I have here, so you're going to help me count the crayons and we'll see how many crayons I have. Let us count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Oh, these crayons here are 12. Let us count them one more time to see if they really add up to 12. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, so the number of the week is number 12, and here we have 12 crayons, and here we have 12 crayons. Now, boys and girls, thank you for counting with me. Let us move on to the lesson for today. Today we said we are talking about protective food. Last time we spoke about the bodybuilding food. We said bodybuilding food is the food that when we eat, it helps our bodies to grow. So today we'll be talking about the protective food. When we talk about protective food, we are talking about the food that when we eat them, they protect our bodies from illnesses. That when we get sick, when maybe the flu virus is around, it won't attack us because we are protected. And the food that has protected us is the food that we call protective food, the food that we are going to talk about today. So here I have this chart. The chart here shows many things. We have some carrots here, and the carrots are orange in color. We have some carrots. Carrots are some protective food, some of the protective foods. And we have some oranges here, and when we eat our oranges, we are also taking in some protective food. Then we have some spinach, and cabbages. When you eat your spinach and cabbages, they are green in color. When you eat your spinach and your cabbages, your broccoli, your lettuce, those are also protective food. And we also have tomatoes. When you eat our tomatoes, we are eating some protective food. When you have oranges and then you squeeze the oranges, what do you get from there? Yes, you get an orange juice, and orange juice is very nice to drink. When you drink an orange juice, you are also taking in some protective food. So, and here I have a watermelon. A watermelon is also some protective food. And here are these little boys here and a girl. They are having a feast. Here they have lots of fruits. They are eating lots of fruits and also drinking some orange juice, which helps them to fight any illnesses that comes to attack them, and they're not sick. They are just happy because they know that they have eaten their protective food and they are protected from any illnesses because their body is strong. So we need to always eat our vegetables and fruits to protect our bodies from illnesses. The protective food, we said, when we have some fruits here, there are many fruits that are here. I can see some grapes, pineapple, there is also some apples, watermelon, some peaches. There are lots and lots of fruits that you can eat. And also here I've got some vegetables. Here I can see the red pepper, I can see a broccoli, I can see cabbages, tomatoes, and also some carrots. When you eat your vegetables every day, you're also taking in some protective food, which are going to protect your body from any illnesses. So it is good for us, boys and girls, to always eat our protective food, which will consist of lots of vegetables and fruits. Don't, when mommy has cooked some vegetables at home and you say, no, I don't eat those vegetables. Eat your vegetables because they are good for you and they are going to help your body and protect it from any illnesses. You won't get sick easily because you have your body protected. So it is good to have our protective food every day. When you eat, remember you have to eat your protective food, which are apples, bananas, carrots, watermelon, cabbages, spinach, lettuce, broccoli. Those are the protective food. Now, boys and girls, remember protective food, we said, is the food that helps our bodies fight against illnesses. And the number of the week is number 12. Also, we said the color of the week is color white. The letter of the week is letter N, and it makes the sound when you say the word that begins with the letter N. The shape of the week is a crescent. The shape of the week is a crescent. So that is the end of our lesson today. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Teacher Kosi, for your lovely lesson on protective foods, and I'm sure the grade zeros really did enjoy that. Thank you so much. We're wishing you a lovely day and a lovely weekend, of course.
Thank you, Nobazi.
Thank you so much. Grades 1 and 2, please get closer to your screens. Up next is your English language lesson with Mobile Villarati. After this break, we will be right back after this.
I mean, God had to go at me a number of times before I finally swallowed this. Because we just have such a wrong mindset about what God expects out of us. And you know what religion is? Religion is what we think God expects out of us instead of us looking at what He's done for us. We have worth and value not because of what we do, but because Jesus died for us. Because we're no better than anybody else. Anything that we are that in Christ, or we're nothing at all. And I enjoy ministry so much more now. I'm so comfortable, and I love God, and I like myself, and I don't care what you think about that, but I just like myself. I spent enough years hating myself. I'm done with all that. Amen.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu tindzawo tethu. Indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu. Kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu. Temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. Lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemqondo kuyawuphumuda kugcinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe buhle bethu imvelo yethu buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
We're going to learn about what water is made of, where we can find it in the world, develop an understanding about how water is on a continuous journey called the water cycle. Are you ready? Let's go!
How do we hear? How do we see? What makes up the air we breathe? How does a plane fly over the sea? How do the planets float so weightlessly?
Let's go! Let's go!
It's technology.
Let's go! Let's grow!
Science, you and me.
Let's go! Let's know!
We're learning every day.
Let's go! Let's grow!
Engine leads the way.
Did you think about what I said?
I did, and I've made my decision. I'm not going to wait for the courts to return my son to me. I'm going to go get him.
Ow, it hurts! Hey, I haven't even touched you yet. Stop being a baby. Kandimba! Get back here! Kandimba! Kandimba! Where are you?
What's with that face? You don't feel well? How did your interview go? Bad. Really bad. Well, I'd like to have a cup of coffee, please.
I want to help you out.
Your
I really
father
can't.
won't let you.
It's just that at this time, the sales of the store don't justify hiring another person, Auntie.
But if that's the issue, I could work on commission, Sarah. I already proved to you I'm a good
Look,
salesperson.
I'm really sorry, but jobs don't just pop up because people need them.
Maybe you should find someone who feels as lonely as you do. Someone who knows how to spoil you and likes it.
Welcome back to Home Study Live on Eswatini TV, and a very good afternoon to you if you have just joined us. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. Right now we are doing grade 1 and grade 2 English language with Nobile Vilagati, who is already with me in the studio. Also joining me in the studio is our sign language interpreter Nombumelelo Hatebe. A very good afternoon, Nobile. How are you?
I'm fine, Nogwazi. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Today we're doing prepositions.
Yes.
What are you expecting your grade 1s and your grade 2s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
By the end of the lesson, I'm expecting my learners to be able to use preposition when describing objects, and also to draw objects to show their positions.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Nobile. Sounds like a very interesting lesson the grade 1s and the grade 2s are going to have. Just to remind you, grade 1s and grade 2s, that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook. You can join us on those platforms. And of course, to use the WhatsApp number to ask us any questions that you might have. You may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi. Afternoon, my grade 1s and 2s. I am teacher Nobile, and we will be doing where is it? That is our topic for today. That is English language, grade 1s and 2s. This is what you are expected to do by the end of the lesson, my dear learner. You should be able to use the words in, on, under, in front of, next to, and behind appropriately when describing objects, and also to draw objects to show their positions. My dear learners, let us look at the months of the year. How many months are there in a year? There are 12 months in a year, dear learner. Now I want us to sing this song. Do you know the month of the year song? Yes, let us sing. Are you ready? January, February, March, April, May and June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May and June, July, August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. These are the months of the year. These are the months of the year. 12 months of the year. Now, my dear learners, I want us to read the letter, I mean to say the months of the year. Let's start. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Let's start again. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. My dear learners, these are the things that you will need for our lesson. You will need a pencil, an exercise book, a cup, a spoon, and a chair. Now I want us to look back. What were we learning last time? In our previous lesson, we were talking about my family. Now I want us to name the family members that are in this picture. We have grandfather, we have father, we have mother, we have sister, we have grandmother, we also have brother. Now let us look at the picture closely, dear learners. Where is grandfather standing? Grandfather is standing behind brother. So grandfather is standing behind brother. Where is brother sitting? Brother is sitting in front of grandfather. Brother is sitting in front of grandfather. Where is grandmother sitting? Grandmother is sitting on a chair. Grandmother is sitting on a chair. Where is sister standing? Sister is standing next to mother. Sister is standing next to mother. Now, my dear learners, I want us to read the words. Let us read behind, on, next to, in front of. Let's read again. Behind, on, next to, in front of. These words, my dear learners, are telling us where the people are. Now, I want us to look at this picture. Since our topic, dear learner, is where is it? Now, let us read the topic together. Where is it? So, I want you to look at the picture. What do you see, my dear learners? We see a teacher and some learners. We can also see some tables, a chair, some books, some pencils, and also some containers, and there is also a chalkboard. Now, dear learners, let us look at where teacher is standing. Where is teacher standing? Teacher is standing in front of the chalkboard, and we can also say teacher is standing next to the table. Where is the ruler, my dear learner? The ruler is on the table. And where is the book? The book is under the table. There are some pencils on the table. They are inside a container. So we can say that the pencils are in the container. Okay, my dear learners, and the chalkboard is behind teacher. Now, I want us to read these words. Let us read the topic again. Where is it? Where is it? Let's read. In, on, next to, behind, under, in front of. Let's read again. In, on, next to, behind, under, in front of. Now, dear learners, I want you to look at me. Look at me, my dear learners. What am I holding? My dear learners, what am I holding? I can't hear you, my friends. Yes. What am I holding, my dear learners? I am holding a cup and also a spoon. What color is my spoon? My spoon is white in color. And what color is the cup? Good. The cup is blue in color. Now, I want you to look carefully. Now, where is the spoon? The spoon is in the cup. Where is the spoon now? The spoon is in the cup. You look. Where is my spoon now, dear learners? The spoon is under the cup. Very good. The spoon is under the cup. Now, where is the spoon? The spoon is in front of the cup. The spoon is in front of the cup. Now, where is the spoon? The spoon is next to the cup. The spoon is next to the cup. Where is my spoon now? The spoon is on the cup. The spoon is on the cup. Now, remember I said you will also need a spoon and a cup. So take your spoons now, dear learners. You will do as I say. Put your put your spoon under the cup. Okay? If your spoon is like this, my dear learners, you are correct. The spoon is under the cup. Now, you put your spoon on the cup. Okay? If your spoon is like this, good. The spoon is on the cup. Now, I want you to put the spoon next to the cup. If the spoon is like this, you are correct, my dear learners. The spoon is next to the cup. Now, I want you to put the spoon in the cup. If the spoon is like this, dear learners, it means you are correct. Now, take your chairs. Stand in front of the chair. Okay, right now I am standing in front of the chair. So if you are standing in front of the chair, it means you are correct. I want you to stand next to the chair. If you are standing next to the chair like this, you are correct, my dear friends. Now I want you to stand behind the chair. If you are standing like this, my dear learners, you are correct. Let us move on. Let us move on. Here I've got this picture, dear learners. Let us look at the picture. Let's read the topic again. Where is it? I've got 5 pictures. Picture number 1 has got a book, a table, and a pencil. Where is the book? Yes, the book is on the table. And where is the pencil, dear Lena? The pencil is under the table. Let us look at picture 2. What do you see on picture 2? We see a container, a book, and a cupboard. Where is the book? The book is in the cupboard. And where is the container? The container is on the cupboard. Let us move on to picture 3. What do we have there? We have a table and a book. Where is the book? The book is under the table. Now let's look at picture 4. We've got a cupboard and a book. Where is the book? The book is behind the cupboard. Now let us look at our last picture, which is picture 5. What do you see? We see a doll, a mat, and a book. Where is the book? The book is next to the doll. And where is the doll? The doll is on the mat. Let us go back to our first picture. We will say that the book is on. The pencil is under. And in our second picture, we say the bottle is on and the book is in. In our third picture, we will say the book is under. In our fourth picture, we will say the book is behind. Our last picture, the doll is on and the book is next to. Let's move on, dear learners. Here I've got 3 sentences. Let us read these sentences. The spoon is in the cup. Sam is next to Lindo. The ball is under the chair. Now, this is what we are going to do. We are going to draw to show the positions of these objects. Our first instruction is the spoon is in the cup. What do you think we are going to do, dear learners? Yes, we are going to draw a cup. This is the cup. Then we are going to draw a spoon in the cup. So where is our spoon, dear Lena? Our spoon is in the cup. So here is the cup and here is the spoon. Now let us look at our second sentence. What does it say? It says Sam is next to Lindo. So what are we going to do, my dear learners? We are going to draw 2 friends here. I've got Sam and also Lindo. So Sam is next to Lindo. And the last sentence says the ball is under the chair. So we are going to draw. Where are we going to put the ball? We are going to put the ball under the chair. So here is my ball. Here is the chair. Here is the ball. So now this is what we are expected to do, my dear friends. Here is your homework. Let us read the instructions. It says, draw pictures showing the following positions. Draw pictures showing the following positions. Your first picture will show objects which are going to describe in, and the second one will show objects which are going to describe on, and the third one will be objects which are going to describe next to. The fourth one is going to be objects which are going to describe behind. The fifth one, it is going to be objects that are going to describe under, and lastly you are going to draw objects that are going to describe in front of. Now I want us to look back at what we were doing. My dear learners, we were looking at where is it, and we look at words in, on, behind, in front of, next to, and under. Maybe we can remind each other for the last time. Where is teacher? We say teacher is standing next to the table and also in front of the chalkboard, and we say that the chalkboard is behind teacher. We say that the ruler is on the table, and also the blue book is under the table. Lastly, we said that the pencils are in the container. So this is the end of our lesson, my dear grade 1s and 2s. I hope you are going to stay safe and be blessed. I really love you, and I hope to see you January.
Thank you so much, Nobile, for your lovely lesson on prepositions. I'm sure the grade 1s and grade 2s enjoyed it, and we're wishing you a lovely day and a lovely weekend, of course.
Thank you, Nogwazi.
Thank you so much. Up next is the religious education lesson for the grades 3 and the grade 4s. We will be right back after this.
I mean, God had to go at me a number of times before I finally swallowed this. Because we just have such a wrong mindset about what God expects out of us. And you know what religion is? Religion is what we think God expects out of us instead of us looking at what He's done for us. We have worth and value not because of what we do, but because Jesus died for us. Because we're no better than anybody else. Anything that we are that in Christ, or we're nothing at all. And I enjoy ministry so much more now. I'm so comfortable, and I love God, and I like myself, and I don't care what you think about that, but I just like myself. I spent enough years hating myself. I'm done with all that. Amen.
Ngabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me in Ndishishi Hamfungu as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
Welcome back to Home Study live on Eswatini TV, and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us, especially if you're in grade 3 and in grade 4. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. Right now we are doing religious education for the grade 3 and the grade 4s with Mduduzi Dlamini, who is already with me in the studio. Also joining me in the studio is our sign language interpreter, Nomcebo Dlamini. Hey, good afternoon, Mduduzi. How are you?
Afternoon, I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Today's topic is consequences of disobedience.
No, it's the results of disobeying God.
Okay, the results of disobeying God. Okay, what are you expecting your grade 3 and your grade 4s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
I want them to have a clear understanding of why it is important to obey God in relation to the Bible.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for that, Mduduzi. Grade 3 and grade 4s. I hope that you are ready for your lesson. And as always, a reminder that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook. You can join us on those platforms as well. And if you have any questions, grade 3 and grade 4, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. You may please begin with your lesson, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, grade 4s. I hope you have an exercise book and a pen to draft down some notes if needs be. Okay, our topic for today is results of disobeying God. As you can see in the picture, there is Adam and Eve, which we all know, and the snake. I'm sure everyone has a clear understanding of what happened in the Garden of Eden. Adam, together with Eve, were persuaded by the snake to do what God had not instructed them to do, which is disobeying. So our topic for today is the results of disobeying God. Objectives. By the end of the lesson, pupils should be able to state why it is important to obey God. We should be able to state why it is important to obey God. The next point is describe some of the results of disobeying God. We should be able to list or describe the results of disobeying God. And the last one is state why people pray for forgiveness. We should have a clear understanding of why people pray for forgiveness. Keywords, which are the words which will be frequently used in our today's lesson, and we should have a clear definition of them or meaning. The first word is consequence. We have to know and be able to define the word consequence. The second one is disobedience, and the third one is obey. So moving on to define the keywords. The first one is consequence. What is consequence? This is a result of something that has happened. I repeat, this is a result of something that has happened. As you can see in the picture, there are two police officers in the picture dragging this man at the center. When looking at the arms of this man or hands, you can see handcuffs. These handcuffs indicate that this man has been arrested. Why do you think the policeman arrested this man? He has done something wrong. Something which is a very good sign of disobedience or not obeying. Moving on to define the next word, which is disobedience. Disobedience, this is to refuse doing what a person, law, an order, God, etc. tells you to do. Which means if you refuse to do what you are told to do either at home or at school by an elder person, it means you are disobedient. So as you can see in the picture, noticing clearly, what do you think that girl is doing? Most would say that girl is bullying this boy. Has anyone been told that you should bully other kids? No. we are always told that we should not bully other kids, which means if we bully other kids, we don't show signs of obeying, which means we are disobedient. That's why disobedience is to refuse doing what a person, law, and order God tells you to do. And the last keyword is obey. What is to obey? To obey is to do what you are told or expected to do. So when you do what you are told or expected to do, it means you are obeying. When you take a closer look at the picture, here is a boy. Let's just say this is his mother. What are you normally told to do at home when you receive something from an elder person? Do you take it using one hand or you take it using both hands? What do you normally do as a sign that you obey? You do what you are expected or told to do. They tell you that you should receive it with both hands as a very good sign of respect or obeying, which means this boy is receiving, I think this is a coin. This boy is receiving the coin using both hands from his mother, which means the boy is doing what he is expected to do, which means the boy is showing good signs of obeying. Okay, we should know before we continue that the importance of today's lesson is to create an understanding of why it is important to obey God in relation to the Bible. So we should know why is it important to obey God? Why don't we just disobey him? Why is it vigorously told to us that we should obey God? We should know. In the previous lesson, you learned that people should care for and protect one another. The Holy Bible teaches us that we should care for and protect each other in order to live a peaceful life. People can care for those in need by praying for them, giving them clothes to wear, and sharing food with them. So, in this lesson, you will learn about the results of disobeying God. We will learn as to what normally happens when you disobey God. Take, for instance, you having your lunch meal at home, and your mom instructs you to do the dishes after you have finished your meal. You then decide not to, but go outside to play with your friends. As you can see in the picture, it's a group of children playing. What do you think your mother will do to you when you make your way back to the house for having disobeyed her by not washing the dishes while she had told you to do after your lunch meal? What do you think your mother would do? Most would say your mother would make sure that she punishes you for not having listened to what she had told you to do. So as you can see in the picture, this young girl is crying just because she has been punished for not doing what she was expected to do. Which means if we don't obey our elders or parents, we will indulge consequences of doing so. Why is it important to obey God? So now we will look at why is it important for us to obey God. So the first point is God is Lord over our lives. God is Lord over our lives. He is the one who governs our life. The second point is God hates people who disobey him. God doesn't like people who disobey him. If we want God to love or like us, we should make sure that we obey him by all means. The third point is God will not listen to our prayers if we don't obey him. If we want God to listen to our prayers every time we pray, we should make sure that we obey him. If you want to pass at school and you pray to God that, please Lord, help me pass, you should make sure that you obey him so that he makes your prayers come true and you pass. The next point is to live in joy and not shame. So if we obey God, God will make sure that we live a happy life and not shame. And the next point is, if we obey God, he will bless us. if we obey God, He will bless us. And the last point is, obeying God shows that we love God. Obeying God is a very good sign that we love God. If we don't obey God, it means we hate God. So we should love God because He is our Father. And to show that we love Him, we should obey Him. Results of disobeying God. Disobeying God means we fail to do His will. Remember, disobeying is to do what you are not told to do. So disobeying God means we fail to do His will. We fail to do what God wants. In Deuteronomy 8 verse 19 reads, "If you forget the Lord your God and go after other gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly warn you this day that you shall surely perish." In this verse, God warns people that He will destroy them if they serve or worship other gods. If you worship other gods, God will destroy us. So we should worship one God, which is the God we serve every day. The story of Noah's Ark. So just to brief you about the story of Noah's Ark. God looked upon the earth and saw that people were corrupt and violent. But there was only one man who lived a God-fearing life called Noah. So God instructed Noah to build an ark, which is a very big boat that can float on the sea. When Noah was finished building the ark, God instructed Noah to put his family inside the ark. Noah did so. Then God instructed him to put 2 kinds of every kind of animal on earth. Noah went to find the 2 kinds of animals on earth, which is a male and a female. When Noah was done doing so, the ark door closed. Then God sent a heavy storm on earth, which rained for 40 days and 40 nights. The waters were full. The earth was full of water. Even the tallest mountains were covered by water. The people that had remained on earth and the animals were drowned. Noah and the group of animals which were on the ark were safe. Then the rest of the people on earth died together with the animals. Why? It's because they disrespected God. So, the story of Noah's Ark teaches us that God protects those who obey or follow His will and destroys those who who disobey Him by making them suffer and even die. As you noted in the story of Noah, Noah was a God-fearing man, and God never punished him. Noah never died. Why? It's because he obeyed God. But those who didn't obey God died due to the flood. So as you can see in the picture, this is the ark that Noah and the group of animals were in, living joyfully and happy. These are the heads of the people which were drowning. They were drowning. Why were they drowning? It was punishment. Punishment from who? God. Why? Because they disobeyed Him. They failed to follow what God wanted them to do. The description of the results of disobeying God. So now we will describe the results of disobeying God. The first point is death. If we disobey God, death is likely to happen. So death. God takes away our lives if we disobey Him. So if we disobey God, one result is death, which means God will take away our lives if we disobey Him. As you can see in the picture, this is the ark, a very big boat. And these are the 2 kinds of every animal that God had instructed Noah to put inside the ark. Then these are the people lying down which had disrespected God. They are dead. Why are they dead? It is a result of disobeying God. The next point is suffering. The next result, it is suffering. If we disobey God, we are likely to suffer. God has the power to make our lives very difficult if we disobey him. As you can see in the picture, these people are finding it very difficult to breathe. As you can see, this man is very tired. He's finding it very difficult to breathe. So he's suffering. Why are these people suffering? They failed to obey God. They failed to do what God wants them to do. So then, and the next point is pain. The next result of disobeying God, it is pain. So God is likely to hurt us if we don't obey him. So if we don't obey God, we are likely to indulge pain. As you can see in the picture, these people are in pain due to being hit by these very large waves. They are in pain. Why are they in pain? It's because they failed to do what God expected them to do. That's why they are in pain. Moving on to why people pray for forgiveness. Making reference to the story of Jonah. Just to brief you about the story of Jonah. Jonah was a prophet. He lived in Israel. Jonah was a very good man. He feared God. So one day, God instructed Jonah to visit Nineveh, which was a neighboring country, which was very corrupt and violent. So God instructed Jonah to go to Nineveh and warn the people of Nineveh of their violent and corrupt acts. God wanted Jonah to warn them that God was going to punish them if they continue disobeying him. Jonah feared visiting Nineveh or doing the duty that God had instructed him to do. So Jonah decided to join a group of sailors which were sailing to Tarshish. While they were on the ocean sailing to Tarshish, God sent a very large storm. And the boat wanted to sink inside the ocean. Then Jonah instructed the group of sailors to throw him overboard on the ocean to drown, because Jonah felt sorry for what he had done. Jonah had disobeyed God by not going to Nineveh where God had instructed him to do, but decided to sail to Tarshish. So the group of sailors threw Jonah inside the ocean to drown to save themselves, instructed by Jonah. Then God realized that Jonah felt sorry for disobeying him. He made it possible for a very large fish to swallow Jonah. Jonah stayed for 3 days and 3 nights inside the fish, praying, begging for forgiveness from God. God forgave Jonah and gave him a second chance. He then made the very large fish to spit Jonah out in a dry land in Nineveh. When Jonah reached Nineveh, he then did what God had instructed him to do, which is to warn the people of Nineveh to stop their corrupt and evil ways and obey God. So, people pray for forgiveness because they want God to realize that they feel sorry for disobeying him, then forgive them for their wrongdoing. Jonah prayed to God asking for forgiveness. What did God do? God forgave him. God gave Jonah a second chance. So that's why people pray. People pray for forgiveness because they want God to realize that they feel sorry for disobeying him, then forgive them for their wrongdoing. Moving on to our today's assessment to test if we have mastered today's objectives. The first question is, state 3 reasons why it is important to obey God. The second one says, describe 2 results of disobeying God. And the third one says, state why people pray for forgiveness. And the last one, if you were used to bullying other children and now feel sorry that you did, what would you do? Why? Okay, let's answer these questions. The first question, state 3 reasons why it is important to obey God. Why is it important to obey God? One would say, God is Lord over our lives. It is important to obey God because God is Lord over our lives. And the second point is, God will not listen to our prayers if we don't obey Him. If we disobey God or if we don't obey Him, God will not listen to our prayers. And the third point is, if we obey God, He will bless us. That's why it is important to obey God. God is Lord over our lives. God will not listen to our prayers if we don't obey Him. And if we obey God, He will bless us. Moving on to question 2, which reads, describe 2 results of disobeying God. What are the 2 results of disobeying God, learners at home? To answer question 2, which are the results of disobeying God, the first one is death. The first result of disobeying God, it is death. God takes away our lives if we disobey Him. If you disobey God, God takes away your life. As you have witnessed in the story of Noah, God took away all the lives of those people on earth who disobeyed Him, leaving out Noah, who was very respectful and obeying. So if we don't obey God, death is likely to occur. The second point is pain. God is likely to hurt us if we don't obey Him. So if we don't obey God, we are likely to be in pain. As you saw in the story of Noah, those people who had failed to obey God were in pain due to the heavy floods that were hitting them. If they had chosen to obey God, that would have never occurred. They would have been sailing with Noah in the ark, happy. So moving on to the third question, state why people pray for forgiveness. Why do people pray for forgiveness, learners at all? To answer that question, people pray for forgiveness because they want God to realize that they feel sorry for disobeying Him, then forgive them. So people normally pray for forgiveness because they want God to realize that they feel sorry for what they have done, then God forgives them. That is the main reason why people pray for forgiveness. It's for God to realize that they feel sorry for what they have done and for God to forgive them. Moving on to the last question. If you were used to bullying other children and now feel sorry that you did, what would you do and why? If you were used at bullying other children and you want God to forgive you, what would you do? Learners at home. One would say, I would pray to God asking for His forgiveness so that God forgives me for bullying other kids, which is very good. One would pray to God asking for His forgiveness so that God forgives me for bullying other kids. So if you bully other kids, learners at home, make sure that you pray, showing signs that you feel sorry for what you have done, then God will forgive you. So in conclusion, in this lesson we have learned that it is important to obey God because God is Lord over our lives. If we obey God, He will bless us. And obeying God shows that we love Him. So it is important for us to obey God because God is Lord over our lives. God will bless us if we obey Him. And obeying God shows that we love God. So the second point, the results of disobeying God are, it is death. Which we said if you disobey God, God will take away your life. Suffering. If you disobey God, learners at home, you are likely to suffer. So if you don't want to suffer, make sure that you try by all means not to disobey God, your parents, or your elder person or people in your community. And lastly, it is pain. So the results of disobeying God are death, suffering, and pain. People pray for forgiveness because they want God to realize that they feel sorry for disobeying Him, then forgive them. So people pray for forgiveness just because they want God to realize that they feel sorry for what they have did, or they regret that they have done that wrong thing. If you feel sorry for what you have done, God will forgive you. That's a guarantee. If you feel sorry that you have done something wrong, God will forgive you. So if you learners at home have done something wrong, which you feel you have to pray for, make sure that after this lesson you kneel down and pray, asking forgiveness from God. Don't smile. Show it facially that you feel sorry for what you have done, and God will forgive you. That brings us to the end of today's lesson. I hope we have mastered every objective that we had intentions of you to master. You have a lovely Friday, learners at home.
Thank you so much, Mduduzi, for your lovely lesson on disobedience and obeying God. Thank you so much for that. We're hoping the grade 3s and the grade 4s enjoyed it. And you have yourself a lovely Friday and, of course, a lovely weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Form 1s and Form 2s. Up next is your science lesson with Nombumalelo Matsebula. We will be right back after this.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu, buhle bethu tindzawo tethu, indalo yashada nemasiko buhle kwethu, kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu, hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe, indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu, temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. Lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela, ayibeka indzaba ayihlela, kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela, diningi tindzawo longativakashela, hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la, phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemqondo kuyawuphumuda, kugcinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga-ndenga, with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe Brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe, buhle bethu imvelo yethu, buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me, Ndishishi Hamfungu, as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
Welcome back to Home Study, your favorite tele-education program live on Eswatini TV. A very good afternoon to you if you have just joined us, especially if you are in Form 1 and in Form 2, because right now we are doing science with Nombumalelo Matsebula, who is already with me in the studio. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Afternoon, sister. I'm okay. As already I've mentioned, I'm Nombumalelo Matsebula.
Yes. All right. Today we're doing organisms in their natural environment.
Yes, dear.
Okay. What are you expecting your Form 1s and your Form 2s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
Okay. From this lesson, there are so many objectives that we have to cover, but we are talking of the importance of this lesson.
Okay.
So this lesson is important for us because we are to understand how organisms survive in their natural environment, and to study how us as human beings, our activities, how do they interfere to disturb the natural environments or ecosystems. And lastly, so from this lesson, it will help us to be able to understand. We will need to understand how we can conserve the environment for the continuity of life on Earth.
All right, thank you so much for that, Nombumelelo, from ones and from twos. I hope you are ready for your lesson. And of course, a reminder about our YouTube and our Facebook, where we are live right now. And from ones and from twos, if you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. You may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you. Hello, Lena at home. Okay. Today's objectives for this lesson, we need to state the principal source of energy on earth as the sun, and we are going to define food chains. The food chains, we are going to construct some example of these food chains. Then we are going to define the terms ecology and ecosystem. Then we are going to state what are these human activities which brings about pollution to the land, to water and the air, which means we'll be looking at pollution of the air, pollution of the land and water. We are going also to state effects of land, water and air pollution to life in general. And then we're gonna define what we mean by conservation, which means we are talking of us maintaining and also protecting our habitat as organism in our natural environment and other species. So we are now going to get into our lesson, where we are simply looking at the objectives I've mentioned. So the first one we are looking at is the sources of energy. What is this energy? You will remember when we talk of energy, we are talking of us people and all the living organisms. We are able to ability to do work. So when you talk of energy, we are talking of us being able to do work, ability for us to do some work. So ability of human beings to do some work. All right. So ability to do work, to do work. So for us to do work, we need some energy. So where is the earth in this planet Earth? Where does the energy come from? So the main or the principal source of energy on earth is the sun. Organisms need the energy so they can do work, so they can move, and also for the normal functioning of our body cells. Not just us, remember, even the plants. Okay, the plants are the first one to receive this energy. They get sunlight from the sun, and then they use it as plants to produce glucose by the process of photosynthesis. You know that we eat energy giving food, and when we eat this energy giving foods, this glucose will be used to produce energy in our bodies. So already we have this glucose coming from where? The plants. Okay, animals, however, we cannot do this on our own. We don't produce the energy. Instead, we only obtain the energy and other nutrients when we eat these plants and also other animals. So animals, they get this food from the plants or animals. Now we need to study this relationship between organisms, where we'll be seeing the energy being passed from one type of organism to the other. Okay, So we have said the source of energy on earth is the sun. So the sun shines, and when it shines, plants receive this and use it. There is carbon dioxide reacting with water. So plants draw water from the soil in the cell, and they move up to the leaves, which are green in pigment, like also the stem, so they will be able to photosynthesize, that is, make their own food. They are now producing the glucose. So the carbohydrates and the water, these two, it is, they will now will have carbon dioxide reacting with water to produce the carbohydrates, our glucose, and also the oxygen. As you can see, this arrow, this shows what is the result is coming out of the leaf after photosynthesis has occurred. Also, this arrow is showing that the water is drawn into the plant. So the water and the carbon dioxide will react, and when they react in the presence of the sunlight in the green pigments, then there will be glucose formed, and this glucose will be used to produce the energy that we need. Not just at the plants too, they need the energy so they can be able to move and also do the activities that happens within the cells of these plants. What comes out when we have said we need this food from the plants? There is now a new relationship that will come out where we feed from one organism to the other. So what comes out are the food chains. What are these food chains? These are simply the relationships of feeding in an environment, which is happening between the living organism. As they feed from each other, then the energy will be passed on from one organism to the other. The plants are said to be the producers because they produce their own food. So they are called producers. Such plants include the grass, which are green. In their green pigments, they'll be able to produce the carbohydrates. So these are called the producers. We can also add some trees because also they have the green pigment, so they'd be able to use the sunlight to form this glucose during the photosynthesis. Consumers, on the other hand, they will feed on the producers. They will feed on the food from the producers. And those that feed directly from the or on the producers are called primary consumers, or we also call them herbivores. Such include the mouse, the goat, rabbit, and many more. We can add even the cow. They are called the herbivores or the primary consumers. Then we have secondary consumers or the carnivores. Those now feed only on the herbivores, which means they don't eat the plants directly. So the energy is not directly from the plants. They feed on other animals. So this, when they happen, we say we have food chains, which are showing the feeding relationship amongst the organism. This now is a drawing of a food chain. We don't expect you to draw these animals and plants, but you can only write the names that we have. At the first one, the producer in this food chain is the maize, because it is the green plant, and what feeds on it is the locust. So it is now the primary consumer or the herbivore, which is now going to be eaten by the lizard. The lizard now is not feeding directly on from the producer, so it is called the secondary consumer because it is eating or feeding on another consumer which has already fed on the plant, so it's a secondary. If another plant comes to feed on the lizard, then it will be a tertiary consumer, like this snake in our case. So we have said there is these arrows showing energy flowing from one organism to the other. The arrow doesn't show the feeding relation, but it shows how is energy passed from one organism to the other. Yes, we know that the next organism is feeding on the previous organism, but the arrow simply shows us which one is gaining energy from the previous. Okay, like we have said, the organisms are depending on each other for the energy that they are getting. So we have said we have the primary producers as the main ones able to make the food which will be used to produce energy in our bodies. But the energy level, this will get the energy as is because they convert the sunlight and use the water and carbon dioxide to make the energy by the sunlight, of course. So that we have what now? The producer. Then from the producer there will be the primary consumer. So you can see now the energy level is decreasing now by 10%, which means the energy from here from the sun to the producer is 100%. Now from the producer to the primary consumer, it's now decreasing. As you can see, normally we talk of 10% reduction from one level to the other. So it means this, which is last in this feeding relationship, is going to get less energy since the energy is being used. Remember, we said the energy is used by each organism to do even all the other activities or the movement as they are alive. Okay, these organisms now they have the relationship and are living amongst themselves in different habitats. But as they live, they have what? There are those relations. So when you say organism and their environments, there are relations that occur within the organisms in any ecosystem. Okay? Living organisms, we say they interact. They interact with each other. And when they interact with each other, we are saying there is interaction between living things. But they also interact with the non-living things. They will survive because there are other non-living things that they need, okay, for themselves. Either, when we talk of the relation, either we need each other for food or other benefits. Like when you talk of climate, the climate must be good for us to be able to plant certain crops. Such other crops cannot be able to grow in any of this climate. So it means we need the climate. The climate is not a living thing. Okay? And then we also need water and food, maybe air, the temperature. All these, they have a bearing on the living organism. So there is interaction amongst the living and the non-living. Although we have the living things that we normally are studying their patterns. So there is what we call a food web when we talk of food chains now that are combined. So a food web is a description of all the feeding relationships which are between organisms in the ecosystem. In any ecosystem there is a food web, meaning now we're talking of the feeding relation. One organism may feed on different organisms. Okay, the study of these relationships of organisms with each other and the environment is called the ecology. Now, when we study how are the organisms surviving in any environment, it means you are now an ecologist, so you are studying ecology. What is the area where these organisms are surviving, where they feed, where they breed, and many more activities? It is called a habitat. So a habitat is a place or a location where an organism stays. It is more like a natural home, like a river. So you will say a snake live where? In trees. Then you will say the tree is a habitat for the snake. Okay? The insect live in soil. Then it means the soil at that moment now is the habitat for the ants. Okay? The different organisms living together in a given environment. Now, the different organism, now we are not talking about one type of organism. The different organisms that are living together in a given environment and are also depending on each other form what we call an ecosystem. In the grassland, for instance, a grassland is considered as an ecosystem because there might be snakes, there might be the grasshoppers, there might be the grass. These are living things interacting or are different organisms which are depending on each other for survival. So we have said, as we have talked of the food chain, we have herbivores. Some herbivores, they can eat more than one type of a producer. Likewise, also the carnivores can eat more than one type of a herbivore, as observed on the previous illustration, which means we are talking of what now? A food web. Amongst the consumers, we have predators. The predator, the one which is hunting, and we have a prey which is being hunted. This is being hunted, and this one is the hunter. Obvious, when you talk of the hunter now, it means going back, we'll be talking of animals in their natural environment. One survives because it has been able to get food by being a predator or hunting. Okay, then we have scavengers that usually feed on already dead organisms, and they feed on dead animals. Okay, then we have parasites living within a surviving organism, like the tick, for instance. And as a scavenger, we have the vulture, and then the mouse being a prey to the cat. So this one is the predator, is an example of the predator, and the mouse is the prey because it is hunted by the cat. So we have the vulture feeding on dead. Any of these, when they are found to be dead, then the vulture feeds on. It means it is just a scavenger. Then here we have the tick, is an example of a parasite. It will live on men. It is in this case, we know ticks are on the animals that we have at home. We have the cow, we have the goats. They can have ticks, which that is why they always go to the dipping tank. Okay, so that these parasites can be removed. Even human beings have their own parasites, like the worms, which they must now and again be able to take out in controlling their number, but they must be there. Okay, now as we have talked of these patterns that we have for relations amongst living things. We also have man being an intruder in all this natural environment, and by so doing they end up polluting this natural environment. So stable ecosystems can resist some changes to the surroundings, but these surroundings are always brought about by human activities. The balance between living and non-living factors can be easily disturbed if part of the ecosystem is damaged by human activities. And these human activities, they normally bring about pollution. If they are not polluting, they may not damage, they may not be a disturbance. But once they bring about pollution, then they will spoil the purity of the environment, and so disturbing part of the ecosystem. Human activities can bring about pollution, as we have said. This pollution, it is the 3 types of pollution that we study. That is water, land, and air pollution. The pollution where we pollute either water, where there are living organisms staying in the water, and the land, likewise with air pollution. The diagram that we have here is summarizing or is showing us the 3 types of pollution. When we pollute the air, there are fumes sent to the air. As you can see, the fumes that are sent to the atmosphere. So the air is being polluted. There on the water, dipping in some objects that are going to destroy lives of the living organism in the water. So once we talk of pollution, we don't talk literally of maybe littering, but if this litter is going to destroy lives, then it means it has polluted, it has contaminated either the land or the water or the air. So now let us study water pollution. When water is polluted, there are serious consequences for the ecosystem. So we have fertilizers that we use in our fields. We also have industrial or household waste that can be washed into the rivers. They will affect the organism living in the water. Also, this will encourage what? Excessive growth to small water plants, which is called algae. And these will use up most or all of the oxygen in the water. We know that for us to survive, we need air. So from the air, mainly we need the oxygen. So if the oxygen is used up, it means now there will be death on the organisms that are living in the rivers, like fish. They will die because now there is oxygen lacking. Okay, sometimes there are deposits of plastic to the rivers. These will be consumed by the animals that are living in the water. So the animals, once they have consumed the plastic, will eventually die because this is not making food for them. Instead, it is destroying the inside of the different organisms that have taken them in. Also, in the industrial and household waste, these can be carried away from its source to the water. And then the waste such as sewage, which are or byproducts of industrial processes, or even the waste water from washing and cleaning activities, could be deposited to the water. When you deposit this waste, then it will pollute the water and resulting to affecting all living organisms there. Water contamination can lead to the spread of diseases and also polluting the water with toxic chemicals that will kill the aquatic animals. So when water is to be used, it must now be cleaned first if it's coming from polluted rivers. Now we go to land pollution. As you can see, the land pollution. This is a diagram which is showing us the ways we human beings pollute the land by depositing waste that might not be rotting, by littering, and in many ways, as you can see the different diagrams here. Okay, what happens at land pollution? The land pollution is usually caused by waste, and this waste will and contaminants that cannot be broken down. So it means we are talking of non-biodegradable waste, which is introduced to the soil, and then it stays there, like the plastic, which are the disposable napkins. They are going to destroy the land. Such pollutants could be from industrial leakages, landfills, or what we dump, and incorrectly disposing some liquid waste such as the engine oil. Okay, the land pollution is if it is improper to use herbicides and the pesticides. When we use them improperly to kill these insects destroying our plants in agriculture, they can also contaminate the soil. Solid waste is dumped or other people just litter. So usually this pollution damages ecosystems because it mainly affects producers in the food chains. May also affect animals that live in the soil, such as the worms, the ants, and other insects. Okay, we also listed some air pollution, which is caused by gases that are released into the atmosphere. There may be chemicals like sulfur, which can dissolve in water, causing acidic rain. The smoke from burning oils, motor car exhaust fumes, and then, like we have said, the pesticide and herbicides. These may affect the organisms and that breathe the air, and also disrupt the ecosystem. So the final result of this pollution, especially air, would be the global warming, which now produce more carbon dioxide. Yet we expect a small amount of carbon dioxide on air. This will help retain heat in the atmosphere. However, if it is too much, then it results in the global warming, which will now have an effect on the environmental temperatures. So in general, we have said the human activities affect the environment, and then we need to conserve this natural we need to conserve our environments by making sure our habitat and species are kept alive for a long time. Otherwise, they will become extinct. So to preserve natural areas in future generations and protect resources from exploitation and destruction is one way we conserve the air. So now I will just have a conclusion of our lesson so that I meet you on the next lesson. Only one of the conclusion. So what we did today, we look at the relations between living organisms. So I hope I was able to give you more of the information you needed in this topic. Thank you so much. We will meet on our next lesson.
Thank you so much, Nombumelelo, for your lesson. We're hoping your Form 1s and your Form 2s enjoyed it, and we are hoping you will have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Form 4s, please get closer to your screens. Up next is your English language lesson with Futhi Mnisi. We will be right back after this. A very warm welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV, and a very good afternoon to you if you have just joined us. My name is Nogwazi. Right now, it's English language for the Form 4s with Futhi Mnisi, who is already with me in the studio. Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Good afternoon, my dear. I'm fine. Thank you.
I'm doing good. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you for asking. All right. Today, we are appreciating style for reviews. That is our topic.
Yes.
What are you expecting your Form 4s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
Okay, by the end of this lesson, my dear Lena, at home, it is my prayer and my belief that we should be able to understand the purpose for reviews. It's not actually something which is so difficult, as you're going to soon see how we actually, what are the many things that we review in our English and language lesson. We'll also be able to list things that can be reviewed, my dear Lena, as well as always, you know me, we are going to appreciate the style for reviews, of which means there's going to be a particular text which we are going to go through together and then see as to how actually that text has been reviewed.
All right, thank you so much for that, Futhi Form 4s. I hope that you are ready for that wonderful lesson that is English language. And of course, Form 4s, to remind you that we are live right now on our YouTube and our Facebook channels. You can join us on those platforms and to ask us any questions that you might have using our WhatsApp number. You may please begin with your lesson.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, my dear Nogwazi. So, my dear Lena at home, like I said, we are talking about reviews. Someone is wondering, what is that review? But you'll be surprised that most of the things that we are dealing with on a daily basis and most of the things that we do, my dear Lena, actually, there is an element of reviewing in one way or the other. So, what is to review? Actually, this is a critical assessment of something. Critical assessment. I want us to be aware of that. Critical assessment of something, or probably let me add a situation, such as maybe a film, just a little examples, and also a book, and there's so much. So it's a critical assessment, my dear Lena. Now, when we are saying it is a critical assessment, what is that? When we are criticizing something, you know, most of the time you would actually think that we are so negative about it. But for this, for today's lesson, you will actually understand that when we are reviewing and we are being critical about something, it means, my dear Lena, we are looking at the strengths and weaknesses of a situation, like I've said, and then you share your opinions or your recommendations about it. I think now this is actually hitting home. So we are looking at the strengths of a particular thing, we are looking at the weaknesses of it also, and then we share our opinions. In short, we then recommend as to maybe if you can do it this way. I'm sure right now there are some things that you have seen, especially films or movies or books, and the list is actually endless, which you actually have seen or watched or read, and you want to share with your friends, my dear Lela. So this is what it means to review a particular situation or something which is in front of us. What can we review, my dear Lena? Like I've said, the list is actually endless. We are talking about books. You have read an interesting book and you can't wait to share this book with your friend. You know, definitely in that book you'll say, okay, just go and read probably the Da Vinci Code by so and so. This is what I loved about it. But also, my friend, you may be, be aware of this. So in a way, that is, we have already begun to review that particular book that we have read. It could also be films, like I've said, my dear Lena. You go down the movie zone, That is if it's opened, hashtag COVID, and all of us we know. So there's a particular film that you, a movie that you have watched, and you're raving about it. You can't wait to share with it. You can't wait to share it to your friends or your relatives. You know, definitely when you are you want your relatives or your friends or anyone to watch this particular movie, which you know you feel like maybe it affected you positively or negatively, definitely you're going to, that is, a review has already begun, my dear Lena, because you will give us the good things about it, and definitely something that we need to be aware of as we are actually watching this particular movie. We are talking about TV or radio programs, my dear Lena. We are talking about restaurants. Definitely, my dear Lena, you go in there, there's a particular meal. Maybe it's a new hotel or it's a new restaurant in town, and everybody's saying, just go and buy something. Let's go and eat at this particular place. Maybe we're talking Galitos, we're talking KFC, we're talking any other place. But when you get there, there is something that is going to probably affect you. And maybe there is this particular meal that you're like, I've tasted this and I want my friends to taste this. Did you know that, my dear Lena, already we are reviewing? So I want to say, let us be cognizant, let us be mindful of what you do on a daily basis, because in one way or the other, these are the things that are actually taking place in the English language. Now let's talk about speeches. You are going to, maybe your classmate is going to present a speech, or someone, you listen to a speech, definitely, and as you listen to it, you're like, wow, the speaker is actually an orator. I could understand so many things. But then somebody asks you, what was good about it? Can there be any improvements in it? And as you share those the good things and the bad things, probably not necessarily bad, but points of for improvements, you are actually reviewing, my dear Lena. And definitely you are always playing games, computer games, in your phones and everywhere. There is a game. Again, you are sharing, you want somebody to get this game or access it in one way or the other. Then in that way, you're also, because you're going to bring out the good and probably the bad, or then you make your own opinion, or you allow the next person to say, I'm going to watch this or not, but you've provided everything. So we are reviewing. And of course, my dear Lena, not limited to these, but you also have events. What do you mean by events? Already a letter comes into mind, a friendly letter comes into mind. Write a letter to your friend about a recent holiday that you have attended with your family. And all the time, my dear Lena, remember in the previous lessons, we talked about descriptive writing. So while you're describing this particular holiday, you're going to, what is it that you enjoyed in this holiday? Maybe what improvements would you wish to be made in that holiday, or stuff like that. And as you are doing that, my dear Lena, it is actually a review of some sort. So this is one word which is not actually foreign, but it's just that it may not be used on a daily basis. Another event, my dear Lena, let's go into a wedding. A descriptive composition comes. Describe a wedding you attended. Now, if it is a wedding, again, it's an event, my dear Lena. You want to share it with someone. As you're sharing it with the examiner, as you're sharing it with your teacher, you are actually what? Reviewing. You're describing, I want to see, I want to hear, I want to taste, I want to touch, I want to, the list is endless. Remember that we are painting a picture in descriptive writing, but in one way or the other, you are reviewing it, because I know the good, I know probably the bad, and then you make your own opinion about it. So these are the things that we can review, but they are not limited to these, my dear Lena, at home. So we are talking about style. That is our topic right now. What is it about reviews? The first thing is that they are persuasive in nature. Remember, if you are going to share your opinion, you want someone to believe it, you want someone to buy it. So they are persuasive in nature, of which means they use emotive language, rhetorical questions. The list is actually endless, my dear, and I'm just using these as examples. It's persuasion. So no wonder we have a speech on the other side, my dear Lena, because you want to persuade. Even in that letter, I love the letters, especially, exercise 1. Remember that informal writing. As much as you are writing about this holiday you attended, the party that you attended, so you are in a way, as you are telling your friend or something like that, but you, in a way, you are actually, because you are reviewing, so you want to say, how I wish I attended, because you're going to bring out the good about this holiday or the party and stuff like that, my dear Lena. And also, another style for reviews is that it uses vocabulary relevant to subject. we are calling this an expert view. So not everybody else can just say anything. You really must have been there, my dear learner. It's an experience, remember? You are the one reviewing. You are the one who have seen this. You are the one who have gone through this. So it is an experience. You are now an expert of some sort. Now, talking about an expert, my dear learner, using relevant vocabulary. Let's go back into the example I gave you. Describe a wedding that you attended. You know, when you're describing a wedding, we are no longer going to talk about the woman who was wearing a white dress. No. Now, the relevant language is what? This is the bride, my dear Lena. Good. So, not only the bride. We are talking about what? We are not going to say, oh, she was wearing a white dress. No. It's a wedding now. What is it? It's a gown, my dear Lena. That is an expert. This is somebody who has been there. This is somebody who knows what he or she is talking about. So, you have already begun our, review of some sort. What else in that wedding? You know that brides, most of the time, they carry, someone is going to say, oh, she was carrying many flowers or one color of flowers and stuff like. No, my dear Elena, but what do we refer to these flowers which are being carried by a bride? We refer to them as a bouquet, my dear Elena. So this one is actually important. It's a bouquet. That is the name. So you are now an expert because you have actually been there. I'm sure by now you understand that, there's so many things that you can review. Even in the party, you're going to use the language which is relevant for that, my dear learner. Again, it uses what? Conversational tone. So, conversational tone, again, this is chatty tone. Conversational means it is informal. Remember again, informal writing. Remember, you're writing a story or anything, it's a diary entry. We are always informal. So it uses that tone, my dear learner, at home. Now, what is the effect for a conversational tone? It is to appeal to the reader. I'm talking to you and I'm saying we are actually on the same level. And usually, mostly it uses what? Present tense to describe what? Immediacy. Remember, I said you cannot just talk about something that you don't know. An expert, in order for you to convince me, in order for me to believe what you're saying, then definitely you actually must have been there, my dear Lena. You have watched this, you have seen this, or something like that. But it is important that you share with me, or you share with anyone something that you have actually seen, you have actually experienced this. Also, because we are reviewing to show that this person is an expert, is going to refer to other subjects of review. What do I mean by this? If it's talking about, probably it's a computer game that the person is talking about, it's going to refer to other games that this person has played, that this person has come across, which is telling us that this person is not actually, trying to claim to know things, but he or she actually knows about different games, different computer games. So this person, we can listen to this person and we can buy the opinion of this person. Remember, we are looking at the strengths, we are looking at the weaknesses, because it's a critical assessment, and then we share our opinion. I'm sure you want to believe somebody who can bring both and then give you something which you can say, you know what, I buy what you're saying, I think I like what you're saying, and then I'm going to what? For example, you have a pastor in front of you, they are preaching on a daily basis. They'll tell you what is the problem about this, what is good about this, Jesus Christ or anything like that, and then you make your decision, my dear, and it's good to repent if it is good to repent, for example. So already reviews have actually come in. And also we are saying the viewpoint is expressed confidently. Like I said, you are sharing your opinion. You are writing this letter. You are telling your friend about the new school. What's good about this new school? Something that maybe you feel like you're not so happy about it, and actually how you wish things would be like this, my dear. And so I just want to say, actually what we are doing in English language now, it is so broad, but we are just looking at reviews, and we are not saying it's something which is somewhere there, but it is what we do on a daily basis, my dear Lena, at home. Let's move on. Now, I'd like us to read the following review. It's a text. It's a restaurant, of course. Now, next time we meet, my dear Lena, we are going to be looking at a text, which again, it's reviews of a different something. It's different speakers, and then from those speakers, we are going to be seeing as to which speaker says this, which speaker says this, based on the language which is actually used. Remember, we are talking about English writers' effect, how writers use language for effect. There is a picture which which is created in us. So I just chose a restaurant review. We're just looking at a few things now. It says this week's restaurant is housed in what? From the outside. We are starting from the outside. First of all, what are we reviewing? What are we reading? The text is actually a restaurant. Now, from the outside, this person is describing this restaurant. What is it? How does it look outside? Uses this contrast. This contrast. It says a lovely hunk of oldness, my dear Lena. Now, this is a contrast already, like I've said, but from the onset, we can tell that this one is an expert because he knows I'm reviewing something. I'm going to start from the outside and then I go inside, probably the lighting, and talk about the people and probably the menu or one of the meals which actually served in this restaurant. So now here he says, I want to say this is the outside. It is Victorian or probably Georgian. Why Victorian? It means it's the era which it was built some time ago. Now, this writer would not have used Victorian, my dear Lena, if the writer didn't know about the different eras when this was built. If it's built in this way, then it means it was built on this particular time, my dear Lena, at home. Let's move on. And it says uses or older, but perhaps it's Georgian, or older or younger. Can I also say that the people seem nice? Look at these. What are these? These are non-sentences, or older or younger. Let's pause. The reader is trying to steer our thinking. Now, how is this? From the onset, it's like, the reader, as much as it's telling us that the outside is beautiful, but getting closer, there's an element of not being so sure. Look at the word, but perhaps it's Georgian or older. So not sure, but the writer knows it's an era which is actually in the past, my dear Lena. Let's move on now. There's a shift from just the outside of this restaurant. Now, let's look at the people. What the writer says the people inside, they seem nice, kind of like rhetoric, my dear Lena, or smiley. Look at that already. The writer has not told us that he is not so sure whether the people inside are welcoming or not, but the language is telling us that there is an element of doubt of some sort. Are they nice? Are they welcoming? Then look at the structure of sentence. It says again, non-sentence, rather sweet, not actually sweet, rather sweet, like I'm not so sure. Let's look at this. Welcoming, another non-sentence. Welcoming. Okay, we would like you. Why are they welcoming? Just give us more. But it is giving us what is the effect of this. The writer is actually saying, okay, the people, I'm looking at them, but how I wish probably maybe they could be so welcoming, but upon looking at them, there's an element of like, maybe they are welcoming. Look at this, the usage of this phrase, my dear Lena. Oh God. It's like some sort of an exclamation. And the minute someone says, oh God, there's an element of exasperation. There's an element of what somebody says, oh my goodness, I'm not so sure about that. So already we can pick up some negative vibe, like the reviewer is saying, okay, they look smiley, they look welcoming, but I am not so sure from the onset. Then let's move on. It says, come with me into the flagstone hallway. Now we are looking at the hallway inside the restaurant. Let's look at this, which is brightly lit. I'm interested in the repetition, a bit sharp, brightly lit. So this is now an expert. Why? How is this one an expert? First of all, he has taken us from the outside and then talk about the people. And also now we are inside looking at the lighting. It is also important. Is this place welcoming or not? And from what has been said, my dear Lena, it says it is brightly lit and a bit sharp, brightly lit. And right now, I'm sure you can tell that the writer over here is not so happy about the way the lighting is. It is too bright, especially from a restaurant. And what is it about this lighting in this restaurant? Then the writer says, the lights are up so high, you can see every scuff mark on the walls. Every tatty seam. Look at that. That is why the writer was saying it's too bright over here. Why? Because now it has exposed the restaurant. It's too bright, so I can actually see every nitty-gritty, even what should have been hidden from me as somebody who is coming to the restaurant. But now, because of the lighting, it's just too much. And so the writer, we can pick up an element of what? Of disapproving of the lighting, my dear Lena, at home. So from now, again, remember, this is supposed to be an expert. We can tell that this person knows what he or she is talking actually about. There is development. If you're talking about paragraph analysis, first of all, we are on the outside, this description. As we continue with our text here, now we are inside. So it's taking us step by step. Now we can follow actually what is happening over here. So the lighting is too bright, and also every touch seem on the oddly positioned, done colored sofas. We can now even see that, the couch or the sofas, they are oddly positioned. We couldn't actually say that if it was dim or something like that, which is what, of course, we probably expect in a restaurant. But this one, the lighting is actually too much. Definitely, this is an expert view, my dear Lena, at home. Let's get just one of the meals which this reviewer actually had in this restaurant. It says, desserts are the one clear success. Remember, on the other side, it began positively, but then we picked up some negative. Remember, it's a critical assessment, right? We have seen something which the writer kind of like disapproves about or of in this restaurant, but there is something positive about it, and definitely we are going to have a recommendation from this reviewer. So its desserts are the one clear success. Look at this adjective, clear success. I'm happy about that. So something is positive. And he goes further to show that this person knows what he's talking about. He's giving us the name of or describes this dessert. What is it? A pear and almond tart is an expert piece. This is something good about this particular dish in this restaurant. And also, let's look at this. Pastry seems to be something the kitchen is good at. Of course, there's an element of not being so sure, but at least he has tasted this one and is actually okay. Let's move on. Now, this is now the recommendation. If we also, this was in this text. Now, let's look at the build-up of the paragraph. The writer says, or the reviewer says, the team have a lovely site where the location is actually for this restaurant. It's a good one. And then goes on to recommend. Remember, bring the negative, the positive, and then we have to balance all this. So now, what is their recommendation? But if they want it to work, they have to change. And doesn't just leave us there. Remember, if you're making a recommendation, you don't just say, I think things should be done better. You go further to give how better things can be. So this is the recommendation. This is an expert, my dear Lena. This aspect of this letter which is written, or anything that is written. And it says, and they could start by turning down the lights. That is one recommendation the writer is talking about, because we have seen how the light actually exposes some of the things in this restaurant which could have been hidden had they been so careful about their lighting, my dear Lena. And then it says, look at this, some sort of sarcasm of some sort, before somebody else comes along and switches them off altogether. From these, especially the last line, you can tell this is one writer, this is one reviewer who was not so happy in this restaurant. The outside is actually appealing. You go inside, there are aspects about it which are not so good, and then goes further to give us a recommendation. What should be done? So remember, you're writing a letter of complaint, my dear Lena. You cannot just complain and complain. Definitely there must be something good about this thing you're complaining about, and definitely, my dear Lena, you have to recommend at the end. I suggest, how I wish, I think it would be my advice. How about we do this? You are recommending, my dear Lena, at home. Now, if you are reviewing something, now you will know, even if it's your dress code, you've looked yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm feeling good today. My dress code, I feel like, it just fits me perfectly well. The fact that you go and ask probably for Nogwazi's opinion, how do you think I look? And says, okay, you look great, but maybe there's already a review actually has begun, my dear Lena, at home. Now, let us be particular, or let us be, always be on on the lookout of the things we do. Actually, the things we do, these are the things that we actually come to read about. So I decided to put this for you in case you want to take a screenshot or anything. So remember, the lovely hunk of oldness, this is a positive viewpoint. It's a contrast, of course, but it has been used for effect to bring this positivity. I told you the Victorian, the Georgian, it shows this is an expert knowledge, knows, uses the language which is used when you are reviewing such. You know, the people seem nice. It's a rhetoric question. We have seen it as part of style in reviews, and it also shows the uncertainty on the hospitality of the people in this restaurant. And of course, we talked about this exclamation of some sort, or this expression. It says it is sarcastic in a way. Oh God, you know, but in a way it shows again that the writer is not feeling so happy about what he's saying. And then come with me, conversational tone, my dear Lena. Remember, we said it's a feature of this. And probably just before we end the lesson again, look at this. The every scarf, every tardy repetition again. What is the effect of this repetition? The writer is disapproving from about the bright lighting that is happening here. Okay, because we can see the tartism, the down-colored sofas, as I explained early on. And then the desserts, we've seen that they've seen that there is success, which is a positive aspect of this particular place, or the meals that they actually serve. Okay, one of the meals, because you know this is actually dessert. And again, they explain, like I've said, the mere mentioning of the different parts of this dessert, it shows that this one is an expert. In short, you don't talk about something that you don't know. Make sure that you have facts about this. And then again, look at this. They have to change. This is a strong opinion. Okay, it's a way forward by the reviewer. Like I've said, my dear Lena, you don't just leave people hanging. It is important that you say this is good. Probably this is, maybe it needs a little bit of help of some sort. It's not so good, but then let us have a way forward. We want to be better as people. We want to be better in what we are doing. So definitely, I'm expecting you to give me what can I do in order to be better as a person or as anything. So my dear Lena, coming to conclusion, you know, we both of us together, we have seen why we review. It's a critical assessment. It's a skill that we need in life, actually. In fact, my dear Lena, before I end everything, when you talk about language, remember, we are talking about an expert, right? Remember, paper 4, this is speaking, my dear Lena. You are given a card, right? A topic card. And when you talk about structures, let me focus on vocabulary. You know, when you talk about vocabulary, remember, this is an expert. We are saying use vocabulary which is relevant to that topic. Like I was making an example that you cannot be in a wedding and talk about flowers carried by the bride. No, this is what is the language? It's a bouquet, my dear Lena. So let us look, you know, as you can see that this is actually cutting across all the skills in English language. So you have a topic card. Definitely your vocabulary. Use words which are relevant to this. You cannot be given a card on social media and you talk about something totally different, my dear Lena. So now we know. Let us be experts in what we are doing or in what we are saying. And we've also looked at the things that can be reviewed. We've also gone through the text, my dear Lena, and appreciated a review, a text of some sort. And like I said, in our next lesson, we are going to look at an exercise. We'll be responding to questions. Now, we will look at different, different aspects or different things that writers are talking about. And then we will have to comment on those particular things, my dear Lena. So next time, please do watch this lesson. Thank you very much, and thank you, Nogwazi.
Thank you so much, Futhi, for that wonderful lesson. I'm sure the Form 4s really did enjoy it, and looking forward to the next lesson, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, have yourself a lovely weekend. All right, Form 4s, please do not go anywhere. Up next is Simamile Masuku with your Eswatini lesson. We will be right back after this.
I mean, God had to go at me a number of times before I finally swallowed this. Because we just have such a wrong mindset about what God expects out of us. And you know what religion is? Religion is what we think God expects out of us instead of us looking at what He's done for us. We have worth and value not because of what we do, but because Jesus died for us. Because we're no better than anybody else. Anything that we are that in Christ, or we're nothing at all. And I enjoy ministry so much more now. I'm so comfortable, and I love God, and I like myself, and I don't care what you think about that, but I just like myself. I spent enough years hating myself. I'm done with all that. Amen.
Ungabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Nguvusele mbukeli ngiphinze ngikwemukele ehlelweni lakho loluthandzako lokufunza usekhaya i-home study ligama lami nginokwazi ngwakadlamini kanti kulesikhathi samanje sitawufunza Siswati selibanga lelishumi pheceleti form 4 kanye naye Simamile Masuku losavele anami etindlini tekusakata. Unjani namhlanhlanje?
Ngiyaphila kodwa unjani wena?
Ngiyaphila nami. Namhla sihloko sethu sithi emabito la khomba bulili sikati nalaphinza ticu.
Yebo kwala.
Ubheke ukuthi umfunzi wakho abe afunzeni ekupheleni kwalesifundo.
Ngibheke ukuthi umfunzi wami abe akhona kwasebenzisa lamabito akhona nekuwakha. Yebo.
Okay. Sithembe ukuthi umfunzi welibanga lelishumi so vele usilungisele isifundo sakhe nhlanje ungacala nesifundo sakho.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi. Mfunzi ekhaya ngiyakubingelela njengoba sengivele sesikubingelele sitawuqala ngekuthi sibuke ukuthi ekupheleni kwalesifundo sethu sanamuhla kubhekeke ukuthi wena ube ukhona kwenda ini. Mfunzi ekhaya funa sisiphela sifundo sethu ukhone wena kunika tibonelo temabito la khomba bulili sikati ukhone kuchaza kwakhiwa kwemabito la khomba bulili sikati ukhone mfunzi wami kubuye uchaza lokukhonjwa ngemabito laphinza ticu. Kwegcina mfunzi ukhone kuchaza kwakhiwa kwemabito laphinza ticu. Asichubeke ke mfunzi wami sibuke solo mfunzi sibuka libito. Libito silichazile sathi ligama lesigagula ngalo lokubonakalako nalokungabonakali. Etifundweni tethu letendlulile mfunzi silichazile libito salibuka ukuthi libito ligama lesibita ngalo lesingakubona sikuphathe naloko futhi lokungabonakali satinika tibonelo sasile sikubonako nje kungaba situlo kodwa lesingakuboni kungaba luthando konke lesikubonako nalesingakuboni siyakubita lawo magama lawo siwabita ngekuthi ngemabito. Saqhubeka mfunzi sabuka sakhiwo salo libito. Sathi libito lakhiwe sicalo nesicu. Sabuka emabito lahlukahlukene mfunzi. Saqhubeka sawabuthisa emabito ngetigaba. Phela mfunzi etigabeni emabito besiwafaka ngekubuka ticalo tawo. Emabito laneticalo letifana nako siwathathe siwafake esibayeni sinye lesibitwa ngekuthi sigaba. Saqhubeka mfunzi sasiyawakha emabito. Siwakha emabito kulamanye emabito. Sawakha emabito siwakha kulamanye emabito. Sathola tinhlobo letisithupha temabito. Ukuthi uma sakha emabito siwakha kulamanye sithola tinhlobo letisithupha temabito. Kwaba ngemabito ngco, emabito mvama, tinciphiso netikhuliso. Satibuka leti letine Namuhla ke mfundzi sitobuka lehlobo letimbili emabito lakhomba bulili sikati kanye nalaphinza ticu. Esifundweni sethu sanamuhla mfundzi wami sitawubuka letinhlobo letimbili temabito lokungemabito lakhomba bulili sikati kanye nalaphinza ticu mfundzi. Sibukile mfundzi wabuka emabito satfola nathi tinhlobo taba sithupha. Kwaba ngemabito ngco sawabuka sajula kiwo. Sabuka emabito mvama sachubeka mfundzi wami satibona tinciphiso kanye netikhuliso. Namuhla mfundzi sitawubuka emabito lakhomba bulili sikati sichubeke sibuke emabito laphinze ticu. Asasichubeke ke mfundzi sicale ngekubuyeketa umsebenti wesifundvo lesendlulile. Sibuke timphendvulo talo msebenti lasawutfola esifundweni lesendlulile. Wanikwa umsebenti kwathiwa nciphisa lamabito lalandzelako. Sikhatsi uma usinciphisa utfola sikhashana. Na ubhale kanjalo ubhale kahle mfundzi. Umlomo, umlonyana. Asisho mfundzi ukuthi umlomana. Ludzaka, ludzakana. Ubhale kahle mfundzi nangabe ubhale kanjena. Imali, imadlana. Ngiyethemba mfundzi ukuthi uyatikhumbula tingucuko letiba khona uma sinciphisa emabito. Umbuto lolandzelako uthi tebhala umusho nonesinciphiso lesisuthiselwe ebitweni lelinandzebe embili elungeni lekugcina. Leli bito kungaba nguleli mfundzi ingubo nangindzebe embili. Uma sinciphisa sithola ingutshana. Ukhumbule ke mfundzi ukuthi ubhala umusho. Asichubeke mfundzi nemsebenti. Umsebenti wawuchubeka uthi hlahlela lamabito. Uma uhlahlela phela mfundzi ukhipha ini? Ukhipha takhi talawo mabito. Masikhipha takhi mfundzi nali libito indvodzana. Sakhi sefu sekucala in. Lo yini mfundzi? Lo sicalo. Selibito sigaba sesihlanu bunye. Kulandzele sakhi sesibili tvots. Lo yini? Lo sicu selibito. Bese kulandzela ana. Lo sijobelelo sesinciphiso. Libito lekugcina mfundzi belithi sikhwamakati. Leli sikhuliso phela mfundzi. Kunesakhi sethu sekucala ngusi. Lo sicalo selibito sigaba sesine bunye. Kulandzele khwama. Lo yini mfundzi? Lo sicu selibito. Kugcine kati. Lo sijobelelo sesikhuliso. Nangabe ubhale kanjena mfundzi ubhale kahle kakhulu. Asasingene mfundzi esifundweni sethu sanamuhla. Sibuka emabito lakhomba bulili sikati. Mfundzi, njengoba ufundzile ngetikhuliso esifundweni lesendlulile, asasibukenanga emabito lajobelele kati. Asasibukenanga emabito lajobelele kati. Kunana lilibito lelithi lunyawo. Lamabito lawa mfundzi asiwabuke ukuthi ingabe atikhuliso yini noma akhomba bukhulu bendvo ngalokubabatekako na. Asiwabuke kanye kanye mfundzi. Lunyawo. Lunyawo kati. Mfundzi, ngabe lunyawo kati lunyawo lolukhulu ngalokubabatekako? Yebo mfundzi. Sikhuliso. Sikhuliso mfundzi. Indvodza. Indvodzakati. Ngabe indvodzakati yindvodza lenkulu ngalokubabatekako na mfundzi? Cha, mfundzi, akusiyo indvodza lenkulu ngalokubabatekako. Asichubeke sibuke indlu. Indlu kati. Yebo mfundzi, indlu kati yindlu lenkulu ngalokubabatekako. Sikhuliso. Sikhuliso mfundzi. Sichubeke sibuke umfundisi. Umfundisi kati. Ngabe ngumfundisi lomkhulu ngalokubabateka kona mfundzi? Cha mfundzi, akusiso sikhuliso. Imbuti. Imbuti kati. Cha mfundzi, lamanye alamabito akhomba busikati. Akasiwo onke lamabito latikhuliso. Njengoba sasibonile lunyawo kati. Lunyawo lolukhulu. Kodwa mase ngithi indvodzana, indvodzakati, akusasiyo indvodza lenkulu. Kodwa sekukhomba umuntu lomsikati. Asichubeke mfundzi. Sibuke ukuthi ayini lamabito, yini emabito lakhomba busikati. Lawa ngemabito lakhomba busikati akhiwa asuselwa kulamanye emabito ngekusebenzisa sijobelelo kati. Uma sakhathi khuliso sisebenzisa sijobelelo kati. Uma sakha emabito lakhomba busikati noma bulilisikati sisebenzisa sijobelelo kati. Yini ke mfundzi umehluko? Ngemabito etilwane nebantfu kuphela lasetshenziswako. Ngemabito etilwane nebantfu kuphela lasetshenziswako. Indlu sathi indlu kati akukhombi bulili ngoba indlu libito lendvo, akusilo libito lesilwane noma libito lemuntu. Asibuka nathi tibonelo. Inkhosi, inkhosikati kukhomba ini? Busikati. Malume, malumekati, ngumalume lomsikati. Inkhomo, inkhomati. Inkukhu, sikhukhukati, inkukhu lensikati. Ngiyethemba uyanaka mfundzi ukuthi kuleli bito inkhomati sijobelele ati, kani ebitweni sikhukhukati sisiguculile sicalo. Nawe mfundzi ungengeta takho tibonelo. Asichubeke mfundzi wami. Bese sasiyabuka ukuthi yini umehluko walobulili sikati netikhuliso. Sishito sathi bulili sikati busebenta emabitweni lakhomba abantu netilwane kuphela. Kani tikhuliso tona tisebenta emabitweni nje langakhombi bantfu netilwane. Lokunye lesingakuphawula ukuthi ngalesinye isikhathi kulukhuni kwehlukanisa lelo bito lelijobelele kati kuthi likhomba bulili sikati noma sikhuliso. Ngalesinye isikhathi kuba lukhuni. Usitwa ukuthi uthathe lelo bito ulikhanze lisetshenzisiwe emshweni. Uma nje sithi imbuti kati kungendeka kube imbuti lenkulu ngalokubabatekako, kungendeka kube imbuti lensikati. Kani uma selisetshenziswe emshweni, imbuti kati yagogo seyinelizinyane. Siyabona ukuthi likhomba bulili sikati. Inja kati kungendeka kube yinja lenkulu ngalokubabatekako noma yinja lensikati. Lokwenda lo mehluko ucace ukuthi ulisebenzise emshweni. Asichubeke mfundzi. Singene kulolu hlobo lwesibili lwemabito lesithe sitawabuka namuhla. Sesiwabonile emabito lakhomba bulili sikati. Sawabona ukuthi akhiwa ngekusebenzisa sijobelelo kati. Sawabona ukuthi ngalesinye isikhathi akahlukaniseki uma angekho emshweni. Asibuke ke mfundzi luhlobo lwekugcina lwemabito lakhiwa asuselwa kulamanye. Lesithe ngemabito laphinza ticu. Lolu hlobo lolu mfundzi lakhiwa lususelwa kulamanye emabito ngekusebenzisa noma ke ngekuthi kuphindwe sicu. Wona ke akhomba lokunyenti ngalokubabatekako. Akhomba lokunyenti ngalokubabatekako. Ngakho ke asuselwa emabitweni lasebunyendini kuphela. Asuselwa emabitweni lasebunyendini kuphela. Asasiphinze ticu tanawa emabito nanga lasetigabeni letehlukene. Kunelibito lelisesigabeni sesibili imiti. Uma siphinza sicu ti sithini imiti yiti. Imithi yithi. Kodwa uma sesithi imifula siphinza sicu imifula fula. Emehlo esigabeni sesithathu emehlo yihlo. Emadvala thvala. Tifo yifo. Tihlahla yebo mfundisi sihamba kanye kanye tihlahla hlahla. Tinvo yinvo. Tinzaba nzaba. Tinzi yinzi. Tinyawo nyawo. Asichubeke mfundisi. Sibuke ukuthi sende njani kuze sithole lamabito. Sende njani kuze sithole lamabito. Mfundisi kwaqala lesikubonako la ukuthi libito lelisuselwa kulelo kumele libe sebunyendini kuphela. Asiwasebenzisi emabito langekho ebunyendini. Libito lesiphinza ngalo lesiphinza sicu salo ngulesisebunyendini kuphela. Khumbula phela mfundisi likhomba lokunyendi ngalokubabatekako. Uma ngabe ke lisebunyeni litabukhomba njani lokunyendi ngalokubabatekako. Kwesibili mfundisi nangabe libito linesicu lesilunga linye. Uma ngabe libito linesicu lesilunga linye sigaca yi. Nangabe libito linesicu lesilunga linye siphinza sonke lesicu bese sigaca yi. Simgaca kuphi emkhathini waleticu letiphinziwe. Imiti ngako sithi imiti yiti. Emehlo yihlo. Ngoba phela lesicu silunga linye. Kuze sikhone kuphuma nelibito leliphinze sicu sigaca yi. Sichubeke mfundisi sibone ukuthi imithetho le kwakha emabito laphinze ticu ihamba kanjani. Nangabe sicu sinemalunga lamabili ke. Sibonile libito emadvala. Nasi sicu sinemalunga lamabili. Siphinza sonke sicu njengoba sinjalo. Emadvala. Kude lesigacako. Tikhwama. Tikhwama letinyenti ngalokubabatekako. Imibala leminyenti. Nawe mfundisi ungengeda akho emabito lanemalunga laneticu letinemalunga lamabili laphinze ticu phela mfundisi. Uvele uphinze lesicu njengoba sinjalo. Asichubeke sibuke ukuthi ke uma ngabe Emabito la sasigabeni sesihlanu nesesithupha kwendekani. Emabito la sasigabeni sesihlanu nesesithupha wona aphinza sicu kanye namafongolo wesicalo. Asisho phela mfundzi ukuthi tinzabathaba. Siyamphinza nalo mafongolo wesicalo. Ngiyethemba siyambona. Bese sisitinzaba nzaba. Tinziwo, tinziwo, nziwo. Tinyawo, tinyawo, nyawo. Nawe mfundzi ungengeda akho emabito. Sichubeke mfundzi sibuke ukuthi akusiwo onke emabito lavuma kuphindva ticu. Emabito esigaba 1 nesigaba sesikhombisa, sigaba sekucala nesigaba sesikhombisa akasetshenziswa sanhlobo. Angeke nje mfundzi uphinze libito lelisesigabeni sekucala bandvu. Bese uthi wena bandvu yindvu akuhlamusi. Buhlalu sigaba sesikhombisa. Buhlalu uhlalu akuhlamusi mfundzi. Emabito lasesigabeni sekucala nasesigabeni sesikhombisa akasetshenziswa sanhlobo. Uma sakha emabito laphinza ticu. Kwegcina mfundzi wami emabito lasesigabeni sesiphohlongo nawo asiwasebenzisi nasakha emabito laphinze ticu ngoba wona ngaphandle kwekuthi akahlamusi wona akhipha lomunye umcondvo. Wona nangabe aphinze ticu akhomba kwenta intfo kancane. Kanzi phela emabito laphinze ticu kumele akhombe intfo lenyenti ngalokubabatekako. Mangithi nje kudla bese ngithi kudla yidla. Kusho kudla kancane. Akusakhombi kuthi lento inyenti ngalokubabatekako. Kuhamba hamba. Kusho ukuthi ngidawuhamba kancane. Uyadivela mfundzi ukuthi umcondvo akusiwo wemabito laphinza ticu. Ngako singawasebenzisi emabito lasesigabeni sesiphohlongo. Mfundzi ungathatha nanku umsebenzi. Bhala busikati banawa emabito. Dinguku, invotsa, babe. Umbuto wesibili uthi phinza ticu talamabito bese uwasebenzisa emshweni. Phinza ticu talamabito bese uwasebenzisa emshweni. Imithi, tigodzi, tinhlobo. Ngiyethemba mfundisi sowutholile umsebenzi lengibheke ukuthi ubhale phela kutilolonga ngalesifundvo. Asasibiyele emuva sibuke ukuthi esifundweni sanamuhla sibukeni. Esifundweni sanamuhla mfundzi sichubeke sabuka kwakhiwa kwemabito kulamanye. Sabona esifundweni letinye ukuthi sitfola tinhlobo letisithupha talamabito. Sineke namhla sicedzele sabuka emabito lakhomba busibulili sikati kanye nemabito laphinza ticu. Sibonile mfundzi ukuthi bulili sikati noma ke emabito lakhomba bulili sikati akhiwa asuselwa emabitweni ebantfu netilwane kuphela. Akhiwa asusela emabitweni etilwane nebantfu kuphela. Asiwasebenzisi emabito lakhomba tintfo ngoba tintfo tide busikati. Ngekusebenzisa sijobelelo gati. Sisebenzisa sijobelelo gati. Sibuye ke mfundzi sakha emabito laphinza ticu. Salandzela imitsetfo letsite. Imithetho mfundzi lesiyilandzele ngiyethemba uyayikhumbula mfundzi wami. Mfundzi, siphela lapho sifundo sethu sanamuhla. Ngiyethemba usithokotele, usale kahle.
Sibonga kakhulu simamile isifundo sakho. Siyethemba ukuthi bafundzi ekhaya belibanga lelishumi phecelezi form 4 basijabulele kakhulu. Sethembe ukuthi utawuba nempela sonto lenhle.
Siyabonga kakhulu.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Viewers at home, unfortunately that brings us to the end of the show. That was the last lesson for the day. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Friday. We're hoping that you're looking forward to the weekend to get some rest and of course to catch up on any lessons that you might have missed on our YouTube channel. Speaking of our YouTube channel, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button and also that bell to get notified of when we are live. Also, we are live on the YouTube channel and our Facebook channel from 2 p.m. Monday to Friday until 5 p.m. You can join us on those platforms as well, and to use the WhatsApp number that pops up on your screen from time to time to text us any questions that you might have during the lessons. Thank you so much again for tuning in today. From myself and the team, have a lovely weekend, have a lovely Friday. We'll see you on Monday 2 p.m. sharp. Bye.